about this allegation from Depp's nephew?
I do. Absolutely. I think Depp's sisters both know, but everybody's more worried about everybody's making millions of dollars and the paycheck, so that I think that they overlook it, which happens a lot in families, sadly, right? It's like people know about it, but I mean, how do you really handle a situation like that? I know the way that I would handle the situation like that. I mean, it's gonna be a problem.
You're getting asked if you know anything about Depp and Tim Burton.
I don't, just besides their movies.
Okay. Let's see. Let me just get the next one up. I'm not sure who this is. Vada Nobles. Can you tell us about Vada Nobles?
Yeah, Veda Nobles. He's the producer of Ponde Replay, and he's the one that I did Ponde Replay with Rihanna with him. Then we did Hillary Duff, and then we did Angie Stone. Like I was telling you, I wasn't kidding. But Veda Nobles, he sued Lauryn Hill. So when I met Veda, that he was the one who introduced me to the Rihanna camp. Right, I was working with Whitney Houston's father's company, John Houston Entertainment, and they were both from New Jersey. And so when I met him, he needed to do some damage control of suing Lauryn Hill for the miseducation of Lauryn Hill, saying that he produced the record with a bunch of people. So we started working on Rihanna, Ponde Replay. And when I first heard Ponde Replay with Veda Nobles, he had like the worst drums. And so I produce music as well. And I had sampled Will Smith's, there's a song Will Smith did called Switch at the time. And there was like this vinyl that's put out, the B side, where he had this instrumental remix with these drums. And so the drums that you hear in Ponde Replay right now is I sampled those from Will Smith's Switch from one of his remix. And then we jazzed them up and put them out. And then I replayed all the drums, I put them out. And then he took my drum track and said that he did it. And it's like, bro, like I put all that stuff together. So I plan on suing Veda Nobles at some point because this has been 20 years. I've received no royalties from Ponde Replay. And I should be one of the songwriters, on that song because the drums are what makes it pop and stick, and the lyrics, like the lyrics that I helped him come up with. Like, the Ponde Replay song is, run, 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 everybody run, run. So we had this song that I was working with Veda Nobles. It was called Reruns. And the song was like RERUN, started over again. NERUR, started over. It stops. So we run, 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 run. Everybody run, run, rerun, rerun, da 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 da, rerun. And that became the hook for Ponde Replay that I was a songwriter in, and I still never got credit, right? I still never got publishing. I still never got royalties. It's absolute crazy. So, what can I tell you about Veda Nobles? He's a scumbag that owes me millions of dollars.
Deanne wants to know, is there anyone in the movie or music industries that are not implicated, compromised?
I would have to say, yeah, I'm sure there's some good people, right? There has to be, you know.
Well, a lot of names have come up. I'll run them by you. We've got Tom Hanks.
I don't. I've heard that. That would be so strange.
Ozzy Osbourne.
I mean, he's just a nutbag total. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, right? Like anybody's gonna bite a bat's head off on stage is nuts.
Keanu Reeves.
I hope Keanu Reeves seems like you'd be one of the good ones. Neo?
Yeah, I agree. Naomi Campbell.
I'm not for sure.
The Kardashians.
Oh, I think we all know what that talking about. That could be Satan's fam directly. I have no idea. That
Sorcery.
that is that. Yeah, that's wild.
Why are Kate Moss and Vanessa Paradis in so much praise of DEPP?
I don't know. Who knows? I mean, just because you're good with, Jeffrey Dahmer and, these serial killers, they had friends and they had neighbors that they weren't killing. And then he had other people that he would meet at the bar and he would kill them and eat them. Right. So it doesn't matter. Like, like some of the worst people were good to other people.
Eminem.
I met Eminem. I was in Eminem's studio. So I used to work with Slaughterhouse with this rapper named Crooked Eye, who's now King Crooked. Shout out to King Crooked. And we were doing this TV show called One Shot. And he took us, he was signed to Eminem. He was signed to Shady Records because Slaughterhouse is a group that is Crooked Eye, Joe Budden, Joel Ortiz, and Royce da 5'9". So he took us to Eminem studio and it was mind blowing. I met Eminem. He was exactly like you'd imagine him to be. He was like stuck back in the day. He had like CDs and vinyls and cassettes everywhere, arcade in his studio. His studio was literally, and this is Eminem at the top. His studio was literally in the hood. And I remember pulling up thinking, this is really Eminem's studio, a building. But if you look closer as you walked upon it, you'd be like, oh, that's like a triple chain link fence with like prison stuff at the top where you couldn't get in, and you have armed security and everything else. So yeah, it was in the hood, right? It was on 8 Mile for sure. But I mean, it was well protected. And I think people in Detroit love Eminem so much because he's so supportive. And they say he like walks around, but he was super kind to me. He was super amazing. And we had this song that I did with Crooked Eye. It was called Ashamed. And he like broke down the song. He was like, I know where you got those drums. I know where you did this. He was just a genius.
So, do you think Gene Hackman was a good egg? And do you think his unaliving was suspicious?
It all seems suspicious with the wife and the dog, but it seems like it cleared up. It seems like it's been cleared up lately, but the responses definitely seem suspect. Maybe. I don't know.
Ice Cube.
Ice Cube, I had some dealings with him with this Rare Ink project. Really good guy. Um, Huge fan of NWA. I haven't heard anything bad about Ice Cube.
Brittany Murphy and other strange pneumonias.
The Brittany Murphy thing was very strange, right? As she was very healthy and she died in the shower shortly like after she did 8 Mile. I thought that was very strange. But I don't know anything about that.
Your thoughts on Amber Heard?
I think she was set up. I think that it's kind of like when you're an athlete and you're competing in a game and you're losing momentum and you're just losing, and she knew that she was losing and TikTok was all against her and everybody had turned against her, and she knew the powers that she was up against. That it I think that it just really, like, her career hasn't been the same, and Johnny Depp's career is back on the rise, and that's another reason why I'm speaking out. Like, there's no way that Disney could let a guy that have those kind of accusations without investigating them, right? If I have people that are publishing my book that are investigating all the things that I'm doing, Disney should be doing the same thing. So, and before they cast him again as Captain Jack Sparrow, I hope they do their due diligence. I would love for the police to come talk to me about Johnny Depp. I would love to tell them anything they know. I'm here. They know where to find me. So I would love to see Johnny Depp behind bars because that he belongs there, in my opinion.
Do you know anything about MIA and the Bronfman family?
I don't.
Okay. Next one is, what do you think about Johnny Depp's support of the Memphis Three?
I really don't know much about that. So since I've came out and spoke about it, people have been hitting me up with these things about the Memphis Three and all these different things, and I've been overwhelmed with some of the stuff that I've got. I don't know too much about it, except
Yeah, There's a few good films, documentaries about them that I've watched. Very interesting in case. Thoughts on Wendy Williams?
It seems like it's a bit confusing about her because one, she says she's okay, and then some say she's not, and other people say she's okay, then other people say she's not. I have no idea, but at one time she was at the top of the, in the media landscape. Like I was a huge fan of Wendy Williams. I hope she's okay.
This recent news about Kanye North and the Diddy song.
So like I'm saying, like as a fan of Kanye West, right? Like he doesn't that's one of those things that I wish he wouldn't do. Like why would you put, your daughter on a song with a guy who is in jail right now in Brooklyn waiting on trial for human sex trafficking? I get it that he thinks that he's innocent and he thinks that he's been set up. But it's like, come on, Kanye, especially after putting out such a profound album with Jesus is King and doing the whole, Christian music thing, which I thought was amazing. Like when Kanye put out the Christian album, I was like, because I'm a Christian, right? I was like, wow, this is what Christian music needs. And to see him backtrack is very scary for people who know the word and for people who study the Bible to learn about the truth and then to backpedal like he's been doing is I would feel very scared if I was Kanye. But such an influence on music and fashion and Yeezys. Like Yeezys are my favorite shoes of all time.
Mm.
The most comfortable shoes in the world. So
So here's a question from my partner Jen, who waved at you earlier about this story that's been in the news. What's your knowledge on the Blake Ryan saga?
So that goes traces back to the PR firm that was Melissa Nathan was involved in that, was part of the smear campaign that was involved in the smear campaign against Amber when the Johnny thing. She was in a smear campaign against me, right? I've dealt with that stuff, and it all comes from a person by the name of Melissa Nathan. New York Times just exposed her big time, for the stuff she does. And this ABC writer that I just did a story with her a few weeks ago. She left ABC. She's doing her own site and stuff. She put out a really, really good story. So I'll send you the link, when we get off, and then it's a profound story where she breaks down, the Blake situation with Melissa Nathan, the publicist.
What do you think Justin Bieber's been through, and will he talk?
Justin Bieber definitely sounds like he's definitely seems like someone who's been through trauma. As a person like me who's been through a lot of trauma, we can recognize that, right? And I mean, when the Diddy trial happens, it's going to be, will we see all these people? Are they going to be subpoenaed? Because this is feds, this is federal. So will we see Justin Bieber on the stand? Will we see Jay Z on the stand? Who are we going to see on the stand? Like I think it's going to be the craziest trial that we've ever seen.
Ziva wants to know your thoughts on all these Kanye and his wife headlines, going back to the see-through outfit, to all these other shenanigans they've pulled in recent weeks.
It just goes back to what I was saying about him being a believer, putting out that Christian music, gospel, him doing the Sunday service, and him kind of like denouncing some of his past and then like doing all that stuff.
TT wants to know, what do you predict the changes will be for the entertainment industry moving forward?
I think the changes are going to be we're getting rid of, Diddy's gone. Jay Z, without question, whether he ever gets arrested or anything, like I think he's over, right? Like his power structure, more people are paying attention, right? We take out people like Johnny Depp, we take out, these strong people, and it's going to crumble. I think the music industry is in a much better place with these people gone.
Beverly's saying the rumors have the three new kings are Drake, Eminem, and 50 Cent. Any views on this?
I love 50 Cent. I think 50 Cent with his documentaries and everything. I love going to his Instagram. I love how he speaks out against Diddy. I love how he seems, to really want justice for the victims. Eminem has always been relevant, but see, once again, there's that Drake. I'm not objective. Like I, I don't want to think Drake is a king, especially with him taunting me like he did after the home invasion.
I used to love Prince when I was a teenager. I was obsessed for a bit. So Susan wants to know, what do you think about Prince and his demise?
So, I mean, fentanyl, that's the craziest thing, man. Like the pain pills or whatever, he got a hold of. I actually worked with Prince back in the day, back in 2020, back in 2001. We did a cover song of the Staple Sisters. It's called "When Will We Be Paid?" And I got to work with Prince on that song. It charted. It was amazing, like to be around him and to have that credit of working with Prince. Yeah, it wasn't one of his biggest songs. People don't really know it, but people Google it. When will we be paid? And I was part of that project. It's amazing. It's
What
Prince.
what was his energy, his aura like?
Oh man, like everything that you imagine it to be. Like, what Dave Chappelle says, like, I mean, can't look him in the eyes. Like, he's a true star. Like, he's one of those people that you meet and it's like, oh my gosh. Like I've met some celebrities who you kind of get disappointed because they're humanized a little bit, right? But Prince came, when you saw Prince, he was Prince 24/7, 365. I went out to his studio in Minnesota, Paisley Park, and I got to work in his studio. Amazing, right? He would come by and you would just be like, oh my gosh, it's Prince. You start sweating, getting starstruck, like want to faint, you know? It was amazing. And one of the guys that I met from Prince's camp, who's been a friend of mine, was one of the guys from Parliament Funkadelic, right? He was the drummer. His name is Bigfoot, Jerome Bigfoot Braley. He wrote "Give Up the Funk," right? But from P Funk, he was really close to Prince, So and one of Prince's biggest influences was Parliament Funkadelic. So it's an honor, Sean, the people that I've worked with. And that's what I'm telling you, working with the people, these names that I'm dropping. And then once I did Biggie and Diddy, and this is in 2021, I went ice cold, ice cold. Once Johnny Depp threatened me, I'm going to break your jaw in two places. I'm going to shut down your career. He did. And Billy's a part of that.
Oh
So
my
that's what I'm
God.
saying, like that's another reason too. I'm mad. Like I've said this before. I feel like this is the way I feel. I feel like the bride from Kill Bill, and my story would be Kill Billy Russell. But I feel like the bride from Kill Bill, that I was left for dead, buried alive, and now I'm coming back, sharpen my sword, and I'm cutting everybody's head off that did that to me, Sean, that put me down, that duct taped me, that ruined the relationship with my daughter, that split apart my family, that really affected my career. I'm coming after all of them.
Don't mess with a man on a mission. So the
Exactly.
question is, do you think Prince's song Uptown was about Diddy?
I'm not sure. It's a good question. Diddy was
I'm trying to
more well, Uptown. Was Uptown Harlem?
I'm trying to think of the lyrics. I can't remember the lyrics. I used to know a lot of Prince lyrics.
So my girl here, she says that I was like, is Uptown Harlem, right? Where Diddy's from? And she said, yeah, it's Uptown is Harlem, Washington Heights, and Inwood. So maybe it is.
All right, next one is, do you think Depp and Diddy are affiliated?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know anything about Robin Antin?
I don't.
Iron Maiden or Avenged Seven?
I'm not sure.
Lou Taylor?
Lou Taylor, of course, but I don't know anything about him.
Erykah Badu?
Another Dallas person. I've got a funny story. So when I was we had this when we were doing the Biggie project, right? And we're in Dallas, Texas, in this mansion. It was this like the internet calls it the most expensive rental in Texas, and that's what we were finishing the Biggie Bad Boy project that we had done in Dallas. And Erica Badu's ex DOC was there, and one of my friends was like, because I'd worked with DOC back in the day, and I was like, he was like, he's out he's just out and he's chilling in the living room. So it's like a mile away from the house. I'm walking over, can't wait to see him. And he's like getting it on with like his girlfriend and this thing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, whoops, holy crap. There's the DOC. I was like, oh my gosh. And he just looked at me like, bro, what are you doing? Because I was shocked. I was like, wait, is this really happening? You know? So
You've got was Rihanna ever in a relationship with Jay Z?
I think so, absolutely. If I had a bet on it, I would say yes, because being there, yeah.
Have you ever tried rapid eye movement therapy? It gets really good results. I've tried it. It's very effective.
Really?
Yeah, I'd recommend it.
Okay, I'll try it for sure.
You basically just think about your trauma and you move your eyes in this way, and it moves the trauma to a different part of the brain. And then when you think about trauma again, the intensity's gone way down, like from 10 to like 3 or 4. And then you do it again, it goes down, down, down. So then in the future, when you try and think about it, you don't feel the pain of it. It's really weird, but it works very fast.
Yeah, that might be happening. I might because like people say, why do your eyes move the way they do? And so like these glasses, everybody's like, well, you wear sunglasses inside the house? You're corny. First of all, these are my prescription glasses, right? Secondly, and I'm getting older with my bags under my eyes. So thirdly, there's a bunch of reasons. And I've noticed like over the years that my eyes are doing this weird shit moving back and forth. My girl
Oh
says,
yeah,
why are your eyes doing that? I'm like, oh my gosh. So so I
perhaps
try not to even look at the screen. So sometimes when I look away, I don't want people to see my eyes doing these weird, like, thing.
yeah, perhaps you're naturally healing because there's a shaking therapy as well, where it shows animals shaking in the wild after they've been traumatized, and
Yeah.
that's how they're getting rid of it. Thoughts on XXX Tension's death?
So, I mean, the thing that's so profound about that is relevant to the case with me is XXX tweeted that if something happens to me or if he gets killed, Drake did it. And then he got killed.
Wow,
Sean, look that up. That's crazy.
that is
X
crazy.
XXX said if something happens to me, Drake did it, and then he gets killed. And so they try to bring that up in trial, like Law and Crime just did a story on it a few months ago. And it's wild that he said that and then that happened. So I think Drake is involved in a lot of stuff. Shout out to Drake.
Marissa wants to know if you've ever seen any demonic rituals.
Happen in the studio. Yeah.
Or anywhere.
Yeah. I see that. I think it's all if we're coming together and we're putting out energy with music and we're writing songs and we're doing that, I think that's all very ritualistic. And we're tapping into that energy and we're putting out stuff that isn't, glorifying or isn't positive, then I think we're all taking part of that demonic rituals. And that's what happened to me during the home invasion that I felt so convicted of is because like I like as a publicist, like if I'm a publicist for, a water company or a food company or, or a vegetarian meal. And even if I didn't eat it, it's my job to publicize it, right? So I would take on a lot of jobs in the music industry and not even really listen to their music and not really like it, but I'm promoting that stuff. So that's why I was like, I'll never promote anything that is violent or negative in the world. And so when I signed with the Biggie estate, Valletta Wallace, who just recently passed away, the reason why the Biggie estate signed me is because I was taking Biggie's violent rap music and we were turning it into house and techno songs. So the song that we put out, Big Papa, it was all instrumental music with the jazz influence. And Valletta was really excited about it because it was all very positive. And then Diddy got involved, and next thing you know, it's brought down.
All right. Did you work alongside Cipher Sounds when working
Cypher
with
Sounds,
Rihanna?
yeah,
Cypher.
he was part of he helped promote the first song for Pond to Replay.
All right. Get your final questions in, folks. We have got quite a few backed up. We'll try and get through as many as possible. Have you cleared the lower frequency energy from studio rituals yet, as they can attach and linger for centuries unless totally cleared?
Yeah, so when I was in Louisville, Kentucky, I went to this place where I did some prophetic word. And a friend told me that I should go and listen to the prophetic word. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, I don't believe in this stuff. So I went. It was called, what was the name of the place? It was like right after the home invasion. I can't think of what it was, but I went. I was desperate for anything. And I sat down with these two older women and they started praying about me. And the whole time I'm like, all right. They started speaking in tongue, prophetic word. And they were like that they could feel in my past that I had been involved in some, I had some dark spirits and some satanic spirits, some witchcraft is what they called it, that I've been involved in. And I was like, no, I haven't. And then all of a sudden, as they're praying, these two older women speaking in tongues, I started to think about Jay Z and I started to think about some of the stuff I've witnessed. And then they start saying, he's starting to see it. He's starting to see it. He's starting to see it. And they were like, we break off these, generation bondage and these traumas. We break off, we pray for healing. And it was the most profound thing that I've ever been in. So I'm a 100% believer in things like that in the prophetic word. It actually helped and it actually like broke some of those spiritual things that have been attached to me for decades. Some of the witchcraft. I didn't even realize that I was involved in that stuff, right? But I was in a place that was so dark where I was duct taped with my daughter. So there was definitely a lot of witchcraft and dark spirits around me. And I try to stay positive all the time. And that's why I got so into raves and house music, is because it's so healing. And going to raves and you would see like 60, 70, 80-year-old people and then 20-year-old people and everybody all the races coming together in raves. Yeah, a lot of people are under different substances and stuff, but it was like so positive and so